Welcome, class. It's our first day of instruction, and it's weird. That's all I could say about it. So I may do some from my home. I may do some from the classroom, just a variety. So this is our math section. So for the next 30 minutes, I decided to split this up. So we're going to do a little bit of math, see how far we get, and then we'll have our ELA for the next part. So just to make it a little bit easier for you on the first day, I want to split it up into 2 different videos. So hopefully you guys don't mind me just staring at you here on the right corner, but I just figured at least it's a little bit of a break. So if you give you a second, if you could please get your math packet, the review packet out in front of you. We'll spend about the next 10 or so minutes going through this one, and then I'll give you guys some time to submit it up on yourself or to work on yourself. So hopefully you have your math review packet in front of you. Let's go ahead and get started. A little bit of ratio review, kind of just everywhere throughout the board. So let's go ahead and start going. First one, number 1, what comparison is being made with the ratio 7:24? Basic ratio problem. There's a lot of things I could see here. So when I'm approaching this, this is basically what I would recommend is just to check this out. So you have your 7:24. I had this one figured out. Ah, there it is. So you have your 7:24. Obviously, it's a ratio of some sort. So let's go ahead and look at our chart down here. What number has the 7? Tennis balls. So that's going to be the very first one I have. So it's for sure going to either be this one or this one. Okay. Now, just going to go to my next ratio, which is 24. There's 24 baseballs. And I would find the one that appropriately has baseballs. So in that case, it's letter D. So my ratio of 7:24 is 7 tennis balls to 24 baseballs. So our correct answer in this one was D. Nice job. Hopefully we got that one figured out. Let's go ahead and go to the next one. Question number 2. If the ratio of boys to girls in Mr. Mata's class is exactly 2:3, then the class would have 12 boys and 18 girls, 12 boys and 15 girls, 10 boys and 12 girls, or 4 boys and 12 girls. Okay, obviously we're going to start out with our ratio. So we know it's 2 and then 2 what? I would assume hopefully you're saying boys. Once again, it's weird that you guys aren't around. So 2 boys, and then my ratio is to 3 girls. So I'm going to put this one up here. And I know I need to find a good way to get there. So what I'm going to basically do is there's a couple different ways I could approach this. Obviously, they need to be equal at each side. I see 12 here. So let's go ahead and get to 12. So I'm going to go ahead and go 12. Okay. I'm hoping some of you guys think arc of death. 2 times what equals, oh, that looks like a horrible, that's actually a G, not a 6. 2 times what equals 12? Times 6. And I basically need you to do the exact same thing on my other side, okay? Multiply this by 6. So once again, arc of death. 3 times 6 is 18. So my ratio here is 12:18. So my correct answer is A. Okay, nice job. Let's keep on trudging along here. Let's clear that out. Get better and better at doing this. An artist has the following choices to make the color purple. She knows that the more blue you have, the darker the resulting purple will be. Which of these following combinations will make the darkest color purple? So once again, we know our ratio here. We have a couple different ratios, and really what it's saying is the more blue you have, the darker the color will be. So let's go ahead and tackle this one on. Which color is going to give us the deepest purple? So this is a tricky one, right? Because your first thing is you're saying, well, she knows that the more blue you have, the darker the resulting purple will be. So which one of these will it essentially be? So if you look at it, These clearly have 2 parts blue, and these have 3. So right off the bat, I know that it's for sure not going to be this one. Okay. And then the next one is you have 4 parts red, 3 parts blue, 5 parts red, 3 parts blue. The proper answer in this one is actually easier than you think. What we're looking for is we don't want as much red. So in this one, it would actually have 5 parts red, so it's going to be a little bit more blue. So this one is just a reading answer. This one, you're just going to read it and say, well, here's what's going on. This one has 3 parts blue, even though it has a little bit more red right here. Ultimately, there's going to be more blue in it. So that's why the correct answer in that one is C. Kind of a weird one. That one just takes you understanding it and reading it. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and go to question number 4. Maybe. All right, there it is. Okay, the ratio of cars to trucks in the parking lot is 5 to 4. Which of these could be the actual number of cars to trucks? Okay, so very first thing you should be doing, think about it. Okay, I'm hoping you guys are answering yourselves right now. So we have our 5 cars down here, and our ratio right here is 4 trucks. Okay. So we're going to see which one works, and it says what could be the actual number of car to trucks. So we could just play these ones out, okay? Basically do an arc of death. Right here, it tells me it's 15 cars. So that definitely could work, right? So I have 5 times what equals 15? 3. And I need to do the exact same thing on my other side with arc of death, right? Okay, so then that would be 12. So based on how that works, will that work? Obviously not. So we know that this is not a good answer. So let's go ahead and erase. I'm learning how to do this, so bear with me here. So we know that we do not like letter A. Okay, let's go ahead and go to this one right off the bat. I think this one's not gonna, oh, you guys are probably telling me, Mr. Diaz, look at D right here. We pretty much got the answer. So we'll just go ahead and skip figuring out the other ones. So I'm sure you guys are smarter than me than figuring this out. So there you go. Your proper answer is letter D. Something I'm thinking about, what we should do is we should still do jokes. So I feel like that was a fun part of it. So if you have a joke, once again, I'm going to have to pre-screen it. So take a second, write one down, and either email it to me or message me somehow, text or phone or whatever the case may be. I think that would be fun for us to just kind of take a break in between math. Luckily, you could pause me, right, and kind of go through that, but that's kind of an option for there. Okay, so our right answer in this one was D. All right, let's go ahead and go to question number 5. The ratio of children to adults in a restaurant is 5 to 3. Once again, think what you're going to do. Probably not in restaurants right now, right? So restaurants is 5, and my adults is, I'm sorry, my children is 5, and my adults is 3. Sound right? Great. I now have my ratio of 5 to 3. Which of these numbers could be children and adults? Well, let's go ahead and start with the first one, okay? 35 is the first answer here. I'm going to basically do arc of death. 5 times what equals 35? Five times 7, right? So we're going to go ahead and do this one times 7. Arc of death on this one, go ahead and do this times 7. So I know right off the bat that says it's going to be a ratio of 35 to 21. Not going to work, right? It's not going to do the job there. So we know that that's a bad answer. So we'll go ahead and cross this one out. Okay, let's go ahead and go to this one with 40. Okay, 40 children. Arc of death. 5 times what equals 40? That would actually be 8. Okay, do the exact same thing on this side. 3 times 8. What does that one come out to be? 24. Boom, we don't need to go any further. Right off the bat, we could tell that this answer is 24. Do you see how nice that is? Once you start eliminating it through, arc of death is going to definitely be really helpful as you're working on these, okay? All right, nice job. Let's go ahead and clear ours and go to the next page. If you could go to page number 6, please, and talk about that. Okay. Page number 6, the ratio of, oh, come in focus. There you are. The ratio of boys to girls in Mr. Mata's class is exactly 2 to 3. Which of the following would have been a mix of boys to girls in this class? Want to give you a minute. I think you guys know this one. Think about what the ratio is. It's the first thing I want you to write down is the ratio. Okay, I'm assuming most of you got this one figured out. Okay, so our ratio is 2 to 3 to what? So it says right up here, boys to girls. So we're going to go ahead and go boys. I'm going to see if I could do my G a little bit better. Look at that. Okay, now I need to see what would work in order there. So basically, I'm just going to start at the top. Some of you could find some common patterns or some cheats here. I'd like to hear those. So feel free to share with the class, maybe some cheats you guys found, some easy ways to get around there. So let's do the first one, which is 12. 2 times what equals 12? I'm going to basically multiply that times 6, right? Have to do the exact same thing on the other side. 3 times 6 is 18. Look at that. Didn't even need to go any further. So the answer for this one was A. We don't always get that lucky, but it works out pretty well in there. So the right answer was A. Okay, let's go and go to question number 7. Mrs. Resenti owns a fabric store that has a large selection of ribbon. For every solid color ribbon, there are 6 ribbons that have patterns on them. If Ms. Rossetti stocks a total of 434 ribbons, what fraction of ribbons are solid color? Okay, so this one we're basically just going to go ahead and do it this way. So you could tell they turned it into a fraction, but it's not that much trickier. So first of all, let's do our ratio, okay? Our ratio is 1 solid color ribbon for every 6 patterns. Okay? So we know that there is a total of 434 ribbons. So ultimately, we are going to get to 434. So how do we get there? It's a little tricky, right? Okay, we know that these for sure are going to be out because my ratio at the very top would be 1, right? So let's go ahead and eliminate these for now and see if these don't work out. So we have a total of 434 ribbons. Let's go ahead and try a ratio of 1 to 7 and see if that works out. This is where it gets a little bit tricky from the math part, and see if 7 will go into 434. Hopefully you guys see where I'm going from here, okay? No choral response. It's kind of weird to not hear you guys yelling out some choral responses or lack thereof. So let's go ahead and figure this one out. So 7 goes into 43. 7 goes into 4 how many times? 0. 7 goes into 43 how many times? You guys saw my cheat there, right? Okay, we'll go ahead and go with 6. Just to make it a little bit easier for us, 7 times 6, 42. Okay, bring down the 4, 7 goes into 14 how many times? 2. Does that work out? Think about that. It does. Okay, so basically it tells me that I'm going to have 62 to 7, and at this point I just reduce it down. So that's the way that this one works out. It's pretty simple, and this one actually worked out well with this, so I don't need to go any further. Oh, I'm a little off here. So I don't need to go further with any of these other ones. I know that my correct answer is D. Kind of a little bit of a different one, but hopefully that makes sense as we were able to kind of get that math to work out there. Okay, okay, question number 8. Should be at the bottom there. When analyzing public drinking water, researchers found a 10-to-1 ratio of type A to type B bacteria. Okay, so this one looks like an arc of death one. Let's go ahead and do this one. So I have 10 of what type? Type A. And I have what of type 1? Oh, I'm sorry. B, right? I have 1 of type B. So what's my ratio? 10 to 1. And it tells me here the number of type B bacteria is 420. So 420. Okay. 1 times what equals 420? 420. So what do I need to do on this one? Arc of death. Multiply it by 400 and there it is, 420. Okay, so if you look at this one, all you need to do is add another 0. So you have 4,200. Does that make sense? Sometimes these are all about just labeling them out, working that, and then working the arc of death there. You could do a factor puzzle as well if you so choose. I think this is a significantly easier way to figure it out, okay? All right, a couple more, you guys. I know this is the first one, so I just want to get this in here and get some in there. So same thing with this, okay? A high school auditorium contains 208 students. The ratio of boys to girls is 7 to 6, okay? So my ratio is 7, what? 7 boys to what? 6 girls, okay? And I have 208 students. So the question is, how many boys do I have in there? Okay, so now what we're going to do is there's a couple different ways to approach this one. So I have a couple different answers. I like to typically just go dive into these answers and see which one works out. So let's go ahead and see if this works out. Let's go and take our first one. Does 7 go into 66? So you guys take a second to think about that. It does not. Does 7 go into, 1 second. So we know that that's not a good answer. Does 7 go into 16? It does not. Does 7 go into 178? It does not. Does 7 go into 112? It does. We actually don't even need to calculate it any further. So if you were able to multiply that using arc of death, you actually would have gotten 16. And that's how you would have figured it out. Does that make sense? We don't even need to go any further. We don't need to calculate the girls. We could, but ultimately using the answers, we were able to kind of back into that. Okay. What's nice is there's a couple different ways we could have done a factor puzzle. We could have gone through that a couple different ways. Okay. Oh, you guys are probably already yelling at me and you're saying, Mr. Diaz, you skipped number 9, or maybe you guys are falling asleep through this, or maybe you're just not paying attention, right? So I apologize. See, I'm even making errors when I'm able to plan this one out. So number 9, I'll just give it to you. It looks like it's answer A. 3 to 5, so sugar to flour, and then he starts putting 12 cups in the sugar bowl. So looks like that one's answer A. So I'd be curious how many of you even noticed that I missed it, okay? All right, let's go ahead and go to number 11. It's actually a two-part question, and this will help us out here. The ratio of 1 to games played is 3 to 5. So right off the bat, I'm going to go ahead and throw my ratio in here. 3, 1, and I have 5 games played. Okay, how many games will the team win? Okay, so think about this. We know that they played 60 games. So right off the bat, arc of death. Do you see what it's basically asking? It's saying we play a total of 60 games. 5 times what equals 60? Times 12. Okay, do the exact same thing on the other side, arc of death, thank you. And at this point we have 36. So my answer in this one is 36. I can't write, it's hard to write in this one. So we'll put 36 wins. Okay, make sense? In that part, how many games did they lose? You guys think of how we get to that? Well, we know they've played 60. We know that they've lost, or I'm sorry, they've won 36. So what math problem do you think that is? Subtraction. So all you do is subtract these two out. Okay, we'll do a little core response. 0 minus 6, can't do it. Borrow next door. 6 becomes a 5. 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 6 is 4. Best forever. 5 minus 3 equals 2. So my answer for number 2 is 24. You guys can read that there. All right. Nice job. Okay, looks like this last one on this page is, and we only got 2 more, you guys, so if I'm losing you or if you guys are getting a little crazy there, there's only 2 more. And remember, I'm going to mix it up, so this isn't always how it's going to be. This is just kind of our first try here. It looks like this one's very similar. We're going to go ahead and create a boys to girls ratio. So we have 4 to 5. 4 what? 4 boys, and we have 5 girls. Now I know that there are 384 boys. Okay, how many work in there? Let's just go ahead and do a basic multiplication problem just to help us out. Okay, hopefully you guys can use some choral response. 4 goes into 8 how many times? Or I'm sorry, 4 goes into 3 how many times? It does not. Okay, it goes into 38 9 times. Okay, what is 9 times 4? I'm just being honest with you guys, I'm totally cheating. 36. 4 goes into 24 how many times? There you go. So if we're doing arc of death, we basically multiply this times 96. Have to do the exact same thing on this side. There's my 9. Multiply it by 96, okay? 96 times 5. Give you a second to work on that on your own. If you could quietly write that down, please. All right, hopefully you've gotten that. 480. So the question is, how many girls are at that school? 480. Okay, last two. Let's go ahead and clear out our screen before we get to some charts. Okay, how many boys and girls are there if the summer camp has 350 students? The ratio of boys to girls is 2 to 3. Now the question is, how many boys and girls would there be if there are 350 students? So how are we able to figure this one out? This one's a little bit tricky, okay? I want to give you a minute or so to work out some different ways to get this answer. So once again, we're on question number 14. And it essentially becomes an easier problem than you think. It's Mr. Jolly. I'm just on video, so it's okay. Mr. Jolly was just turning off our air conditioner. Okay, I'm hoping there's lots of you who have this answer here. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the thing that we do know, right? So it is going to be 2, 2, 3. 2 what? 2 boys to 3 girls, okay? Hopefully some of you guys were like, I know this, Mr. Diaz, this is a part to whole. That is exactly what this is. Let's go ahead and do the boys first, okay? So the part's gonna be on the top. What is the whole of the number? The whole is basically everything, right? So 2 plus 3 is 5. So remember, the part is the 2 boys, and there's a total of 5 kids, right? And we know that that equals 350 students, okay? 5 times what equals 350? At this point, I'll save you the math. It's actually 5 times 70. We do the exact same thing on the top, and we have 140. Okay, so our answer is there are 140 boys. You could actually now at this point, now that you know that, you could actually do subtraction. You could do another part to whole. Gosh, there's a lot of different things you could do there, right? Whatever works out best for you. So we could basically subtract this out and figure out our ratio as well. If you subtract that out, the total is 210. So we have 210 girls and 140 boys. You add that up, that comes out to be 350. Yay, part to whole. I feel like we haven't done that one in a while. Okay, last one, and we'll go ahead and sign off for this stretch here. Hopefully this has been exhilarating. I know it's a tough 30 minutes, but like I said, let's just keep on going through this one. So they sell 8 shirts. We'll call them T's for every 3 sweaters. Okay, there's 143 students buying one or the other. Once again, part to whole. Let's go ahead and add up how many, or we're trying to find out sweatshirts in this one, it looks like, right? So add these up, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we have 3 to 11. And do basically the same thing. I have 143. And at this point, I need to see how I got from 143 to 11. Just need to divide that out. You guys are quick at math. You basically would know that that's 13. And when I say quick at math, it means I just used a calculator. And 13 times 3 is 39. So the answer is there are 39 students who bought those sweatshirts. Part to whole is a good one. I feel like we could have done that with our other ones as well. And we're all squared away. All right, so your next lesson, unless you did it first, would be your ELA. That'll be the next 30-minute lesson. We're actually gonna do a little bit of review and then we should be all set. Thanks so much for chiming in. Make sure you like, actually I don't think you guys could like, and I hope you have a good day.